2023 is a big year for Houston in the food world. We have 6 national semifinalists for the prestigious James Beard Foundation Awards. It is a high honor in the foodie world. So we invited all the nominees to join us for a roundtable discussion on everything from the secrets of success to their guilty fast food pleasures and their own foodie love stories. Bon appetit. Thanks very much for joining us. Very exciting to have all of the national nominees for the James Beard Awards for this year. So first of all, come on. Congratulations to you all. Why don't we go around the table? Let's start with Justin 1.
I get to be Justin 1 this time?
Yeah.
Oh, this is very exciting. Wow. I'm Justin Van. I'm the wine buyer for Nancy's Hustle. And the beverage program is shared between myself and Zach Hornberger, who does the cocktails, so I get to focus exclusively on wine. I was pretty baffled when we were nominated, if I'm being totally honest, because this category typically features very expensive, large wine programs, whereas our total inventory is like $50,000.
Justin 2.
My name is Justin Yu. I am the chef owner over at Theodore Rex. We were nominated this year for Outstanding Hospitality. You know, hospitality does not just need to have a white tablecloth. Hospitality means making sure everybody feels accepted in their space.
Chef Chris.
Chris Williams, chef and owner of Lucille's Fine Foods
And you were nominated for
Outstanding Restaurateur, a focus on community service through the restaurant.
Chef Emmanuel.
Emmanuel Chavez, chef and owner of Tatemo. We were nominated for Best New Restaurant. We're extremely shocked, especially since we're such a small restaurant and we're kind of outside of the skirt of the city. We're 13 seats, we're reservations only. We focus a lot on to-goes and brunch, try to stay intact with our community.
Chef Victoria.
Hi, well, my name is Victoria Elizondo, and I'm the chef and owner of Cochinita & Co., as well as Cochinita's Market. I got a nomination for Emerging Chef, and it being a nationwide award nomination, or even if it's semifinalist, it means a lot to me. One, because what a better way to showcase the diversity of Houston. And 2, I am an immigrant. I'm a DACA recipient. So I want to show anybody that's in my situation that anything is possible.
How many people started with a food truck? Oh, okay.
I've had one.
1.5.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure all of us started out in pop-up.
Yeah, pop-up.
I think we all start out in some sort of pop-up, not necessarily a food truck though. Yeah.
But a smaller.
Something where you don't have your own 4 walls. You just have your ideas, and hopefully someone lends you a space and you just run with it.
Yeah, I had a food truck, and food trucks are actually almost as expensive as running a restaurant. So pop-ups is the way to go.
Chef Tony.
My name is Chef Tony J. Nguyen. I'm a co-executive chef here, an owner with Christine Ha. We got nominated for Outstanding Chef this year. I think the reason we got nominated, we do a lot of things right here. We really focus on service, and the food that we create here is just really food that Christine and I grew up eating, and we're just trying to share our upbringing of being a Vietnamese American in Houston.
For folks who may not know, James Beard Award is, everybody says it's like the Oscars, yes?
I say Grammys, but yeah.
Grammys, Oscars, okay. And you have no idea who nominated you.
No.
It is quite mysterious.
So there's an angel up there somewhere who's wined and dined at your places, and you have no clue who that person is.
No.
I don't.
I feel as if previously they had a list of people that you could look for in the reservations, but they're a little bit more mysterious about it these days, and I think that's for the better.
Well, I have counter service, so I can't look up anything.
Too busy working to look up and see.
No, meaning we don't take reservations, so we don't
okay.
have that information.
Okay, so they're just anonymous when they walk through the door.
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I do agree it's encouraging that they're anonymous, because if it's someone that they have a hat on that says, James Beard nominating committee, then it kind of changes the way the game is played. But if they're anonymous, there's a little more fairness there.
All right, let's talk about the food scene in Houston. And I know many of you have experience in other cities, in other countries, in terms of your culinary experience. Talk to me a little bit about how Houston ranks in the food scene And what, if anything, you feel makes it stand out? You know, what is special to the Houston food profile?
I mean, I think that one of the best things about it is, like, unlike being in Atlanta or, you know, in the Carolinas or New York or, you know, the West Coast, there's no true definition for what the Houston food experience is outside of just diverse and it's a ton of options, extremely diverse and full of options, which gives us kind of like the freedom to play, because you have at this table 3 or 5, 6 completely different approaches to food and service and all that kind of stuff, but it's all welcomed here because there is no standard that exists. Like, you know, like if we're in Atlanta, there's Southern cuisine and you know exactly what that's going to look like, and every restaurant you're going to go to is going to be an iteration of that standard. To where here, it's just a wide open playground. And the only thing that defines it is that this has to be genuine, creative, and consistent.
It also helps there's no zoning.
Interesting. Talk to us about that, Justin.
You know, a lot of times cities plan, you know, where and what gets to happen in which part of the city, and Houston doesn't have zoning, and so the real estate market is really thriving, and I think that really helps with the diversity, and the barrier to entry is much lower. So I think for people that really want to work for themselves and that have a creative voice to say something, Houston is wide open for them, as opposed to going to a city that is a little bit more expensive. You know, to open up a restaurant in space, are kind of funneling you towards very specific areas. Houston, anything can happen anywhere, honestly.
So that's an interesting observation. You know, like that whole no zoning thing is sort of a twofer thing. But so, just out of curiosity, do you think you could have done what you have done in a New York City?
Absolutely not. No. I think the people. I think people here in Houston are, especially chefs or in the industry, are starting to come out more confident of where they come from and who they are. So, like Chef said, Justin said, it's louder. It echoes louder. You reach more people here. You have a bigger audience. We're the 4th largest city in America for a reason. So anything that we say, it echoes and it spreads. And community here, it's massive. So people come and support.
If anything, I'm sorry, I feel like there's people from New York and LA that are moving here or coming back that are Houston natives, move there to expand or grow their chef career, and then they move back to start their own thing.
Like Tony.
Like Tony.
But so, okay. And it's easy, right? Because we're in Houston and, you know, you can poke fun at New York or something else like that. But you really feel like the expense and everything else with the zoning, whatever, that it would have made it harder for you to create the same success that you've had here?
I mean, it's prohibitive out there unless you have partners. I mean, much like you, and I didn't have any investors, still don't have any investors, and I couldn't even imagine the cost of entry to do business out in any of those places. Like, you'd have to take on a partner, which more likely than not would change your perspective. You know what I mean? Because you're not doing it just with your vision alone. Now you're other people are in the room, things get changed, they get muffled a little bit. I can imagine doing this anywhere else.
It's almost like you get a running start as opposed to always to be sprinting as soon as you hit the ground. Here you have a chance to make mistakes. I think the majority of us opened our first spaces with less than 6 figures in total budget. Some of us way less than 6 figures. You know, opening a restaurant for less than $100,000 kind of unheard of. So in a place like Houston where you have the opportunity and there's a driving culture that people, and there's a food culture, and there's a culture of support, especially in the hospitality industry, it's really, really important.
And a culture of curiosity. You know what I mean? Like, the Houstonians are just curious. They just want more and more experiences, which is, you know, open up these lanes for all these creative concepts that come and exist. I mean, I remember when you first stepped on the scene, we were all like, what the, you know, we
Vegetable tasting menu?
I was like that too.
No way. Yeah, no way.
But it keeps you on your toes. It doesn't let you settle. It doesn't let you get comfortable because, you know, there's always something coming up. There's always somebody doing something new, and which is amazing. I love to see it, but it also keeps me in check. Like don't get too comfortable because there's plenty of options to go around. So you Houston has a very tough crowd.
The competition keeps you sharp?
Yeah, why not? I mean, I don't believe in competition. I think there's room for everyone, but I do, like, for example, Manuel, who also does Mexican food, I get inspired by the things that he does. So, and anybody else, even if it's not Mexican food, there's always so much creativity going on that it's definitely inspiring, and it keeps you on your toes.
So let's talk about what is the hardest thing to make your restaurant successful. And there's been more attention to about, I guess, what they call back of house is a phrase I've recently learned. Can you talk a little bit about that? I mean,
Tony.
Tony, you're too quiet.
I'm just listening. I'm learning. I definitely think running a restaurant has never been easy, but it's definitely a lot harder now with the labor costs and the food costs. But yeah.
So labor and food costs, finding folks, getting employees.
Getting employees, definitely. Yeah.
The turnover. I mean, like the biggest thing with the back of the house, which is the heart of the house, is like the turnover is your biggest enemy, right? Like it's in every restaurant that I've worked in, anywhere. The turnover is high. People come in, it's rough work, it's painful, it's bloody, it's sweaty, it's all those things, and it takes a certain kind of personality. And now that our world's changed, with the cost of labor just going through the roof, it's really about giving these people the respect that they deserve. Because I mean, like, they are the heart of your restaurant. If you don't have that consistent, if you don't have those people motivated every single day to come and do the job up to your level and see your vision through, then you have nothing. So the challenges are actually good, because it's long overdue for them to get the respect that they deserve. Because you can't make a restaurant without that back of the house. And the beautiful thing about it is, again, is the diversity of these restaurants. Like, I mean, at our production kitchen, we have 7 different languages. 7 different languages, and only a few of those languages share English. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because we all know what the job is. We know what the work is that we have to do. We know what time we start. We know what time we finish. We know what the standard is. And we know that we have to depend on every other person that's in that kitchen to make the things happen.
Food is an international language, if you will.
It is.
But can you name the 7 languages that are spoken in your kitchen?
Portuguese, 2 different dialects, 3 different dialects of Spanish. One of those from Africa, and I always forget what country it is, but it's there. There's a Tanzanian guy, a Congolese guy, but both of them speak English. And then there's a lot of Southwest side English, which is a little bit different. Yeah.
So maybe all that is also part of the magic that gets weaved into the different menus that we have.
Yeah.
Justin, one, you have a thought on your lips.
Oh, no. I mean, I just want to agree with that I think that it is a more challenging labor market, especially for the back of house right now. Mm-hmm. But I think part of that is because there was a crisis of morale during the pandemic when, we talk about the Great Resignation. It's not just us, it's everybody, And so I think that a lot of people took a hard look at, how long they worked, how hard they worked, how much they were being paid for that. And although I am the one FOH, person here, like, I can say that I agree that there's always been an inequity between the front of house and the back of house in restaurants. And I think that I think everybody at this table and a lot of the leaders in the city are doing things to kind of rectify that. And I think that's a step in the right direction. So it is more difficult than it feels like it's ever been, but it's for a lot of the right reasons,
For me, would be that this is such, and I think a lot of people are in the same situation, but unfortunately it's not talked about enough. For me, this is such a hustle industry, and it's like go, 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 that oftentimes we forget about our mental health. So that has been a huge struggle for me. So I use my social media platforms to speak about it and to make sure that, we are a team and that we are here to, like, support each other. This industry, like, if you feed people for a living or, serve people for a living, it makes you a great person. And because of that, like, you deserve to be heard and you deserve to reach out for help when you need it. So that it's one of the many struggles, but the one that I want to highlight. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and this is interesting to me because the James Beard Awards look like they have sort of taken a new angle, if you will, in addition to the great food and the great service, there does seem to be a component about sort of social awareness, if you will, to be an important part of the community in which you serve not just your food and your wine, but also your patrons and your larger community. Is that an accurate read, do you think? How do you feel about that as a...
I just think it's an accurate representation of the industry as a whole. If you have a business or a restaurant or a bar that just singularly is looking towards the products that you put out, you're missing more than 50% of what you should be doing. It includes the people that are in the back, in the front, how they're treated, what kind of what kind of benefits that they get, and what you're doing for your community as well, because your community is supporting you as well. So I think that a lot of people have previously have had gripes with the fact that it's just so food focused, but what I would say is that if you look at restaurants and bars, they don't just serve food and beverage, and if that's just the scale that you're looking at, I think that you're missing a huge part of the picture.
11 years ago, Justin told myself and Johnny Rhodes, another local chef, that if you ever want to open your own restaurant, the actual food that you put out, it's going to be the last thing on your mind, and it should be the last thing on your mind. And that carried with me throughout the years in my career. When people talk to me about what's your favorite dish or what kind of concept, that's the least of my worries. I want to make sure the people that are on my team are taken care of. I want to make sure that I'm able to step outside my kitchen with a sense of security, knowing that any of those guys can run the service and the place as it was their own, because that's the type of environment that I want to create. I want to create leaders. I want to encourage people to open their own businesses so that I can step away, because I don't always want to be that guy or the guy. You should let the next generation of cooks in our city, and that's how we're going to keep progressing. And I believe in 6-7 years, we're going to be talked about like they talk about New York and San Francisco, because we're doing those things. We're stepping away and allowing the newer generation to have a voice, and it's just beautiful to see.
Yeah, we saw Jennifer at your shop the other day.
Yeah, when you asked me to make tortillas, and this is Jennifer.
No,
she can do it.
Okay, you all now qualify as celebrities, because you are. Justin Wen is just rolling his eyes.
He's like, what do you mean now?
No.
He has over 1,000 Instagram followers. So
Yeah,
he's
there
been
you
a celebrity.
go.
Absolutely not.
Are you turning red, Justin Wen?
Probably, yeah. I mean,
Poor
I don't.
Justin, we're picking up.
I don't have a monitor, but I mean, I probably am.
Yes, you guys are celebrity chefs by virtue of your nominations and your recognition. So how does that feel? Do you like it? Not like it? Do people stop you at the H-E-B and say, Victoria, which tortillas should I be buying? Justin, which spices should I throw onto the chicken, or what's the best scotch or wine? So talk to me about that. Being a celebrity chef, do you like it or not? Pluses and minuses. And I mean, are you stopped at the grocery store for your advice, Chris?
I mean, I have a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old son.
Oh, I know where this is going.
And a baby girl on the way, and a fiance. And it means nothing to any of those people. My food's not any better at home. I still have chores and demands, and quick to disappoint everybody that I just mentioned. So, honestly, all we do is work. You know what I mean? So if it's not Lucille's, then it's the nonprofit. If it's not the nonprofit, then it's family, and then just keeps going like that. It's just live in a bubble with tunnel vision. So the recognition is lovely, but as far as the family and like my operations are concerned, like the team doesn't care.
Yeah, they keep you humble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we stay humble because we all work together. I mean, that's how we got here. Is we work together. So recognition's great as far as changing the day-to-day experience.
Even among us, like I see everybody as equal. Like I think it's more of the outsider, like people that are not in the industry. To me, it just accentuates my awkwardness.
I still have my fan moments. Like I see these guys and I'm like, oh, I can't, because I grew up like admiring them. So for me to be like share a table, yeah, it's like I gotta breathe in and breathe out.
I mean, I will say 5 of the 6 of us work in the back house, and there's generally a reason why we're back there. You know, the reason normally is that we hate lights and cameras, and you know, we don't have to talk to anybody. We don't really want to. The whole new thing with the earbuds is crazy to me. But
the squiggle, like the secret agent squiggle.
Yeah, it used to be you had to put on like big earphones that had like a line going down to get any peace and quiet. And now you have earbuds in and you can prep and you don't have to listen to anybody.
You got your playlist going and you're slicing and you're dicing.
You don't have to approach guests or anything like that. You know, as far as like the full phenomenon goes, I think it's just important to recognize that it's people are curious about the people that cook their food these days, right? It didn't used to be a previous curiosity. And, you know, as a chef, you know, learning to utilize that it is working for you also in the same way that you work for your staff. Sometimes it's important to be out in front of people and to be gracious and humble about the reception of what celebrity culture you end up in, because it's good for your staff. It's good for more people to walk in the door so that your server can get tipped more. It's good to make sure that your cooks continue to have a chance to learn and grow. And if it brings in enough people, it's ideal that you get to hire somebody else so that it makes their life a little bit easier. So I think accepting it to an extent is really, really important, but it never doesn't feel weird. It's always weird if anyone ever recognizes you. So, because we did this specifically not to have to deal with that. So.
I think as long as you keep your feet on the ground, it's fine.
What's your favorite fast food guilty pleasure?
I can
Everyone's
answer
got a
that
thought? And we're just going to go bam, 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 right? And we'll start with Tony. We'll go opposite direction this time.
Oh, no.
Okay? Oh, Victoria's like me. It's all right. Just take a second to think about it. Yeah?
Well, I'm a fast food connoisseur. It depends on when we get off at night and what's open, but usually it's Popeyes or Whataburger.
The McGriddle from McDonald's for breakfast.
Keeping it real, girl.
1 a.m. Whataburger patty melt.
24 hours a day, gummy bears. That's it.
Gummy bears?
Gummy bears.
It's fast enough.
That's my fast food. I don't go to fast food. I go to gas stations anywhere.
Gas stations are often on it.
Yeah, it is the fastest.
You're right.
It's whatever
And it
is
stays with
open
you
late.
for-
I thought it had to have a window, but you're good.
My fast food guilty pleasure, it is the potato, egg, and cheese taquito with grilled jalapenos. Also a sausage breakfast on a bun. We call it a bob. And then if I'm feeling real frisky, I'll go what a burger junior also. And so I just want to also let everybody know that the one on North Main, whoever works the window between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. is excellent. Yes. They're really good.
James Beard nominee next
You
year.
gotta wait for it. It's a long wait, but it's worth it. You know.
That's insane how you made all those things sound. You made all those things sound so delicious and so detailed. You know what I mean? Like, where can I get that taquito?
Yeah.
You know somebody has been through that window 2 to 4 a.m. All right.
My answer is a Whataburger taquito with potato, grilled jalapenos, and a sausage, egg, and cheese breakfast on a bun. And if I'm feeling frisky, I'll order a large fry, or perhaps a milkshake. But you can probably guess why those orders are similar.
And this segment brought to you by Whataburger.
Basically, we just double up.
Yeah.
It's usually 2 taquitos with potato, grilled jalapenos, not the pickled ones.
No pickle. Grilled.
Yeah. Although we might mix it up with the pickled someday. That might be nice.
You know, part of that's probably because what is open, right? When you guys are done at the end of
Raising Cane's to 2 a.m. now?
Although I will say,
Raising Cane's is the spot.
Raising Cane's, but I will say like Uber Eats and DoorDash have really changed the game sometimes. It's expensive.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know
I
about
don't know how I
paying those
feel
fees.
that.
Yeah, that's right.
Did I just spend $40 on a taco?
But you get to be home with your dog and like, you know.
There you go. You're paying for your time, your freedom.
And the Raising Cane's is a common foil for fancy wine, where it's like, here's a champagne that costs an enormous amount of money, and here are some chicken tenders with it. You're like, yes.
Anybody got a little, story, when you can
Yeah, I mean, did you want to?
No, go for it.
Sure?
Go.
Go ahead,
You're more
take the
handsome.
lead.
Yeah, you're more
Take
handsome.
the lead
no,
on this one.
Inspire me.
I know every time he talks,
Yeah,
I just
I'm
want to
like,
listen.
Oh my God, this is Chris. Okay, I'm getting a picture after this. Yeah. I'm gonna sound like a complete fanboy, but Oxheart, 2011, first tasting menu, all vegetable driven. I still like had dreams about that style of service, and that changed my career because I was used to just tacos and Tex-Mex and all that, and just saving my paycheck to go spend at Oxheart with my girlfriend at the time, having the cooks explain the dishes of like onions cooked for 12 hours with pig thyme and caramelized jus, and just the apron, even the style of aprons. I still remember with the white checkers, not the white checkers, the white stripes or brownish maybe. To me, that was just mind blowing. It changed my perspective on fine dining or dining itself. So for sure.
Wow. I have goosebumps.
Boy,
But,
that is a foodie fan love story,
I
man.
appreciate that. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Although, for however much you enjoyed it, it was a nightmare for me sometimes. I'm glad you had a great time.
So stressed out, but great. I'm glad you had a good time.
How are you doing back there, Chef?
Chef Chris, what is your, and it may be professional, maybe personal. What's your foodie love story?
It was at Oxheart, and no.
I was like, there's no.
No, really, it started with I think I was like around 12 years old, and I used to go spend weeks at a time with my grandmother on my father's side in Brenham, and like a big part of our days, every day, was prep. You know, cooking everything from scratch. He was 80-something back then, so I had to do all the, you know, the fun things of peeling the collard green leaves and snapping peas, and this was hours of work. But you know, back then the sun was brighter, the air was cleaner, just everything was just nicer, and yeah, that's where the passion started. And when I hate this business, and when I'm bleeding and losing my mind, trying to figure out how to fix the puzzle, sometimes I tap into that memory to help me fall back in love with it.
I have a story
Yes,
that
we do.
actually started in Oxheart, but before.
Wow.
No, I'm gonna try to keep it short, but it's a long story. But it actually started with that same building, but way before you. There used to be a Peruvian restaurant there. Unlike all of you, or well, except you, I didn't have the dream of becoming a chef. That was not really my thing. My mom and we worked at restaurants just to, you know, because that's what immigrants do. But I was like, as soon as I get my papers, I'm gonna get out of this industry. It's too much work, underpaid, no thank you. But then I was offered a job as a server at this Peruvian restaurant where Oxheart used to be at. And then I met Chef Roberto Castre. And at the time, to me, like, there was like ethnic food, which was like your everyday affordable fast meal, and then there was like white people food, like white chefs, you know, like the fancy ones, European styles, like the ones that get the awards. It was like two different worlds, right? So through him, I fell in love. Every server needed to know the history behind every dish. So I learned about Chifa food, which is the Chinese Peruvian cuisine, and then Nikkei, which is the Japanese Peruvian cuisine, Inca, which is the native Peruvian cuisine. And not only was it just beautiful and tasteful, like the amount of love that he put into his culture, like into the restaurant, and him being recognized for it and praised for it, like it made me fall in love like with food. And I was like, I want to do that for Mexican food. Like it was something so new to me, like, and that's where everything started. People say that
well, the history
Yeah.
and the story behind the food.
and then
as
from
well.
there, as I was trying to explain my story behind my food and my brand, people thought I hated Tex-Mex, and it's like, no, like Chef Roberto Castre, I also love my food. I also love my culture, and I want to show you that it's more than that, and that it's actually two completely different things. So yeah, that's my love story.
All right, Justin, I want to be mindful. I know you've got a clock on you. Did you have a love story you wanted to share? If you don't have one, it's okay.
Well, And my love story is actually alcohol. It is. That sounds bad, but it was at the University of Houston. I was taking the wine appreciation class, and I mean, it's also kind of. Let me just tie this into Oxheart just to make him feel weirder. Is that we went to high school and didn't really know each other at the time, but we were walking in. He was leaving the Hilton College, and I was walking in, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I was like, "I'm taking a wine class. I'm checking out." And he's like, "Yeah. Cool, good luck. Maybe we'll start a restaurant someday or something like that." I was like, that'll never happen. But while I was there, I mean, I basically abandoned all my political science ambitions, all my law ambitions to study wine because I tasted a really cool Bordeaux that the cellar that they had there had been donated by some alumni, and it was amazing. And I don't think kids are exposed to, I say kids, I mean like college students aren't exposed to those kind of wines very often, but it was such a profound experience. I was like, I'm gonna discard everything else in my life and pursue this now. And then that moment was cool, but then for me, the point was connecting that to everything in Houston. So it was like once I passed some SOM tests, I had an opportunity to work at other places in the country, in San Francisco and New York. And I felt like the wildest thing I could do would be to write a wine list here. And I think that is a decision I am very, very proud of today. Because this is the kind of food that I want to see really cool wines being consumed with, and not expensive wines. The wine that I tasted that was my Eureka Moment wine was pretty expensive, but like my passion is like in the inexpensive range. Like I get more joy helping someone get excited about wine who's paying well under $100 than I do helping someone buy $1,000 bottle of wine. So my food memory is basically the Hilton College and drinking really cool wine and running into this weirdo.
Okay. Yes, what's your food love story?
My food love story doesn't start with oxtail heart, but but it starts with my mom. My mom immigrated from Vietnam, and she doesn't know how to say I love you. So the way she say I love you is through food. And we grew up, she's always feeding me. I was very overweight all the time. But I think really falling in love with restaurant would be on the weekends after working really hard, my family would take us to Feng's Kitchen. And it was just like an amazing experience, just the seafood on the wall and all the Chinese dining. And it was just like, I'm really happy here. I want to do this. And ever since then, it's been a childhood dream of mine to own restaurants. So I went to Syracuse, did hospitality management, and then now I'm here. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah.
Food is love?
Food is love.
Okay, so what is your food love story?
I'm really lucky. I've known that I wanted to be a chef ever since I was very young. I have aunts that immigrated from Hong Kong to California, and while I was born and raised in Houston, we always visited. It was West Covina, California, just a suburb of LA, every single year. And at the table at the restaurant, was where everybody was always the happiest. So I always felt as if I wanted to make sure that everybody was happy. And so I remember I was very, very young, and I followed my aunt into the kitchen. She didn't know I was following her. And I walked in, and then there was a chef there that was making this huge fire in the wok. And I was like, that is awesome. There's nothing else I want to do. And ever since I was in pre-K, I've always said that I wanted to be a chef. And I am both very lucky, maybe a little unlucky, so I've always wanted to do that my entire life. So
Very good. What were you cooking in pre-K?
I would try to come up with recipes of my own. So I remember one time I baked a cake for my aunt's birthday, and it came out hollow because I didn't put enough flour. And then so I filled it with chocolate pieces. And so she ate a bite to appease me, but no one else ate any.
Food is love.
Food is love, yeah.
I made that same cake in
Yeah?
a Susie Bake oven, but I wasn't clever enough to think of anything to put in the hole of
Yeah.
the cake. It was just a big,
A big
empty
hole of a cake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of a biscuit with nothing in the middle.
Yeah.
So your love story began with alcohol in a glass. It's only water, but may I raise a toast to all of you. Congratulations on your nominations. That's right. Cheers to y'all, and the very best of luck.